Welcome to another episode of Mostly Mets. Today, what I'm going to be talking about is my takeaways from the Carlos Mendoza spring training press conference that just happened. Just watched it, about 30 or 40 minutes long. He went over some things, some injury news, maybe some competition moves within the team. And I just want to go over a few of them with you and my take on them. The first thing, what was talked about probably the most in the press conference was Senga's health. Currently, Senga is healthy. He is ready to ramp up this spring. He said they're going to keep it slow with him. They're only going to work as fast and work him as hard as they think they can. They want to keep him healthy. That's the most important thing. Goes along with what Senga said earlier in the day when he was interviewed that his one goal this spring and this season is to stay healthy and pitch as much as he can. He says he expects to pitch 30, have 30 starts this year. So that would be awesome. That could change the whole complexity of the Mets starting rotation. If Senga is healthy and where he was pre-injury, you're talking about, you know, a much different rotation. That's number one. The second one, AJ Minter, he kind of Mendoza kind of he didn't really give an answer on it, but it doesn't seem like it's a lock that he's going to be ready for opening day. Minter kind of said that himself during Amazing Day. His goal was to be ready for opening day, but he doesn't. He's not necessarily going to be. Mendoza said that he's going to throw his first bullpen at the end of this month, so that's the plan at least, barring any setbacks. If that's the case, maybe he gets on the opening day roster, but it's possible that he won't be ready. That's a big loss. He's big for the back end of our bullpen. As long as it's not a long term thing, maybe if it's a couple weeks to start the season, we can get through. If it becomes a long term thing, it's going to be an issue. Um, One other injury thing, Mauricio, if I had to guess, he's not going to be on this team, at least in the early part of this year. He is still just in the running phase. He hasn't really started baseball activities yet. And Mendoza said don't expect to see him in any games until probably mid March. So obviously, if he's not getting into any games until mid March, he's going to need extended spring training. He's going to need a rehab assignment in the minors. He's not he's not going to break camp with the team. He's going to be a minor league guy who maybe can contribute at some point, maybe in May or June. But he's not going to be ready to start the season. More of a insurance in case there's an injury mid-season. I think that's when you'll probably see him. Now, going to more of the competition, one thing we know this team is pretty set, right? We know what the lineup's going to be. We know who's playing every position, except for maybe second base. We thought that Acuna could push there and maybe become the starter. From what Mendoza said, it's going to be Jeff McNeil. He said Jeff McNeil is going into spring training as a starting second baseman, and he says Jeff McNeil is a big part of the team. I don't see him. I see that as being a legitimate thing. He's not just saying that. That's you got to remember. McNeil makes over $15 million this year, and he's 2 years, past winning a batting title. He has success in the past. They're trying to build him back to that. Will he ever get there? Probably not. But can he be at least a decent second base option? Sure. So because he makes so much money, they're not going to just sit him on the bench. And they probably can't find anyone to trade him to. So you have him there. He's going to be the second baseman at least to start the season. Whether he fails and Acuna comes up and takes the job, I won't put that past happening. That could very well happen. But at least to start the season, Jeff McNeil will be the starting second baseman. Said it yesterday in a video, and Mendoza kind of took that. He basically confirmed that today. That's going to be what's going on. So there's no real competition in terms of starting positions, but there is competition on the fringes. There's competition in the bullpen. There's competition for the sixth starter. The sixth starter competition, obviously, between McGill, Canning, and Blackburn. One of those guys will be the sixth starter. Also, one of the bench guys who's vying for one of those bench roles is Brett Beatty. Mendoza has said that he's going to be working out this year at third and second base. Obviously, we knew him as a third baseman. When he got sent down to the minors last year, he was playing a lot of second base because they just wanted him to have more versatility and being able to play more positions. Mendoza said he's not going to have him play very much outfield. He thinks he's going to keep him in the dirt, as what he said. So he could be vying for being one of those bench bats. Mendoza said that Beatty's been very vocal and that he wants to be on the team, whether that's filling in, whether that's being on the bench, pinch hitting. He just wants to be on the team, and he'll do whatever he has to make that happen. If he has to learn new positions, he'll do it. He just wants to be on the team. So he's someone who's most likely going to be a bench bat for us this year. If McNeil, as we all think, or as Mendoza basically said, is the starting second baseman, that probably puts Acuna in the minors. I don't see him as a bench bat for this team. He's wasted as a 22-year-old kid sitting on the bench, pinch hitting, filling in every once in a while at second or third or whatever. I see he needs the at bats. He needs to go to the minor leagues, work on stuff, continue to get better so that when he comes up, he never goes back down again. Um, I don't think it'll be too long before we see him. There's always injuries that happen. He'll be back up at some point, but I believe he'll probably start the season in the minors, barring some either an injury or just a complete fall off the cliff by McNeil or Acuna just being so good that you can't send him down. Those are the only things that could happen that wouldn't send him down. Another interesting thing in the bullpen, Mendoza was asked if Budo was being stretched out to being a starter. He said no, he's viewed as a bullpen piece, but he's being stretched out as well as Max Kranick to pitch multiple innings out of the bullpen. Um, it's important for the Mets to have those guys, and it's something that I didn't even think of, but you have Kodai Senga, who you can't really count on to pitch a lot of innings. Even when he was great, he was kind of a 5 inning pitcher. He doesn't go deep into games. He throws a lot of pitches. You obviously have Clay Holmes, who's transitioning from being a bullpen guy to a starting pitcher. He's obviously not going to be able to pitch as many innings as you'd like a starter to go, especially from the beginning of the season. He might not be stretched out to go more than 4 or 5 innings. So you need guys in the bullpen, multiple guys in the bullpen who can pitch multiple innings, and that's what they're doing with Buto and Kranick. And I'm sure maybe one of those guys who doesn't get that sixth starter job is also going to be in there as a long man, kind of mop up um, to eat some innings as well, kind of the Hauser at the beginning of last year, or that kind of role. Um, you have to have those guys on the team. About it. There wasn't a ton of information. Obviously, it's the very beginning of spring training. Carlos Mendoza is just getting there. Guys are just filing in. They haven't even had a full, pitcher workout yet. The position players, some of them are there, but they don't actually report until the 17th. So you don't know. There's not much to go off of right now. But it seems like they're in pretty good shape going into spring training. Not too many injuries. Obviously, hopefully Senga stays healthy. Hopefully Minter can break camp with the team. That one is kind of iffy to me. I'm kind of 50-50 on that. I don't know. From what Mendoza said, he brought it up that when it came to injuries. He said he wasn't worried, but it's still a thing. So I'm 50-50 on whether Minter starts the season with the team. But overall, I just want to give Mendoza a lot of credit. Watching that press conference, and you see it every time you hear him speak, but he really is such a leader. He's just a born leader. You could tell by the way he talks about players and getting better and talking to players and listening to players, not just talking to them, but listening to them. You could tell he has full respect of his players and his players have full respect of him. I know we were all upset when Mendoza got hired because we didn't know who he was. The Yankees bench coach. Oh, we got another guy from the Yankees. We're just trying to become like the Yankees. We got so lucky with Mendoza that it's crazy. Um, I just love the direction the organization's going in. It seems like we finally have some stability. Even though it's only been 2 years, it feels like it's going to be like this for the next 10 years. And that's exciting. So, once again, there's not too much information right now, but I think we're in good hands and we're in a good place going into spring training. Um, and with that said, let's go Mets.